Welcome to Warmachine's Political Theater, a multiplayer arena requiring a blend of brains and brawn in order to secure victory. Plan your attack, make allies, defeat your enemies, then stab your allies in the back. This is Kommandant.
Hello and welcome back to the worst Warmachine channel on the internet. I'm Malorian and it's time for another Warmachine battle report, but more specifically, Kommandant. If you don't know what Kommandant is yet, this is the 4-player version of Warmachine. It's fantastic. It uses the same 25-point list, basically the same size as Brawl Machine. If you want to know the exact rules, go down into the description. I have it all there. But otherwise, let's see what crazy lists we have for this one today. Alright, the first list to look at here, because I got to go first, woohoo, is going to be my Cephalix list and me taking Thexus. So that's the first difference between this and Brawl Machine, is that there's no restrictions, so I can be taking things like this. And this is a Thexus that I love. I even went and converted this Professor X because I'm moving things around, and I can't wait to play this. This is the first time I've played my Cephalix since the dynamic update. They have all their improvements, and more importantly, I want to do all the shenanigans of my good old Thexus buddy here. So what I would love to do is use my powers where I can feat things, I can TK them, I can rampager them, and use that to just make my opponents fight each other. Just be like, hey, you guys move together, you fight each other, I might score a couple of points, but meanwhile, you guys just fight each other. I just think there's so many funny things you could do in a game like this, and I'm looking forward to see what silly things I can do. Alright, the next person here is going to be Dorian. This is his first time joining us for Kommandant, so great to have the new face, and he decided to bring his Crucible Guard being led by Locke. And Locke is another one that I think is going to be very interesting in Kommandant. So normally, you'd be seeing Locke in Convergence because, oh yeah, you can make the Mac go over to your Jackson. Who cares? The main thing here you can be doing is that feat is going to be great. Now, the reason why the feat is great in Kommandant is because normally, if you know what the feat does, you pop it, and then if anyone uses focus or forces while within your control range, you get to put a token, basically, on any one of your battle group, and it's going to be getting +1 armor, +1 defense, and strength. I don't know, something like that where it gets like really strong and good, and it turns out when you have 3 opponents, you should be making a lot of those. So between that and the idea that one of these things might be zipping out with redline and jackhammering, yeah, this should be a very scary list, and we'll see what happens with it. The next person here is going to be David with the Signar, and now David is back with Stryker1. So last time tried out the Haley 3 defensive SKU, didn't really work out for him, so now he's going for the armor SKU, and I just love this army. Again, he's trying every time he comes out to Kommandant to be fully painted. He's painting these models the night before just to be sure for whatever's missing, and it looks fantastic. So I'm really happy though that this is on the other side of the board so that I shouldn't have to deal with it till like, late game type stuff. And finally, we have another new face to Kommandant here, which is going to be Thomas and his Grimkin and a Dreamer list. Now, first of all, sorry for the bad picture. It's focusing on the tree in the front, and so everything else is kind of fuzzy. And also, some of these models, obviously, as you can see, are just in the middle stages of painting. Trust me, Thomas is a really good painter and a lot of his stuff looks amazing. However, this is a list that he made up just before we played. He was planning to play something else, a child list, I believe, with the house. And then we kind of got talking. I was like, you know what? When it turns out the Dreamer makes those phantasms from killing the enemy, you just need the enemy to kind of die. And so whether you kill them or somebody else kills them, you still get those phantasms. So Dreamer can get up there, and doesn't matter if they make the attacks or we're fighting each other, these phantasms are just going to be like showing up everywhere. So that should be hilarious. So looking forward to see what happens there. Alright, otherwise, this is what the board is looking like. As I said, I get to go first. as normal, the terrain is kind of up there so that for the most part, we're kind of blocking things off for each other. Hilariously, here on the right, we have two buildings put right together because you're allowed to do that stuff in Kommandant. And it's, even though that completely blocks me, his flyers can go over. So we'll see what that really does for us. But yeah, me going into my first turn, I just really plan to run up there. Alright, so really what I do on this turn is the Machine Wraith rips ahead, getting to where it wants to be. I allocate, of course, 2 to each monstrosity. Each one's going to be using 1 to run, and then saves 1 for later. That's really my first turn. Dorian gets to go now, and same type of thing, rushing up. He has Sentry up onto his Vindicator, and then Red Line going up onto the Toro. And something you can see here is that he's already heading more so my direction, is what I'm trying to say. So if you look where that flag is and where his corner would be, he's not exactly going down the center. He definitely is leaning more towards my way and already making comments like, hey guys, we're going to kill Brian first, right? So I'm not liking my chances with the way things are going here. Going into David's turn, he's doing basically the same thing, kind of moving up, and he decides to put Blur up onto his Cav and Arcane Shield up onto his Defender, and that's pretty much it for him. And then finally, turn 1 for the Grimkin. You know, when I first saw this, I was really worried that I was going to be double picked on because Dorian's already saying, let's kill Brian first. And then when I looked at the terrain, it really skews what I thought was going to be the Grimkin towards me between that forest and the buildings. And so he set up those clockatrices with the artifice so they have cover there. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. But then, I didn't really notice this with his deployment, but his whole infantry is kind of set up to go after David. So they head over there hard. Like, I was kind of making fun of Dorian going somewhat towards me, but look how aggressive this is. So for me, this is fantastic. That means that if Dorian wants to pick on me, at least I'm not being hit on 2 fronts. And if David's having to deal with this Grimkin, he should definitely be leaving me alone. And so I'm thinking I might give him something. Alright, so going into turn 2, by the way, this is when we can score. If you don't have a model at the end of your turn in the center zone, you take 5 points. There's now a kill box of 12 inches. If you are caught being kill boxed by your caster, again, you're going to be taking 5 points of damage. So come on, get in there, get real. And so the first thing I do is that Machine Wraith gets in there. I could step inside the zone and score my first point, but hey, I might as well use this wall that Dorian gives me. Plus, by being over there, I'm now in a spot where my Machine Wraith can be like threatening to take control of him. And I would love to give David a present by attacking the Toro and making the Toro walk towards him backwards. However, I have another gift planned. Again, I could be just allocating 2 to each of my wreckers and my warden and just be ready for the following turn. But no, let's do something fun. I send over the wrecker. I TK one of the clockatrices out of the artifice just to make sure that now it doesn't have cover and I can see the back. Then I hit it with Rampager and make it move at 6 inches towards David and turn itself around. So that's the one with Mirage. That's the one that's the most dangerous. And this should be perfect for David. I mean, David can see that the Grimkin are attacking him. So in like defense, they can take out this clockatrice, get the first couple of shots into the infantry coming at him, and be in a very great spot to defend himself. So I had to apologize to Thomas about this, but I said, look, I came here to do silly things with Thexus, and this is pretty silly. Alright, going over here to Dorian's turn, he takes a sentry shot at my Machine Wraith, and I forgot that silly Vindicator has a shot type that takes away Incorporeal. So luckily, the sentry shot misses, but then it moves up, shoots, kills me. He has a mechanic go into the zone, and then, yeah, that's kind of it. So he's a little bit far back with some of his things, and I'm happy to see that. But now he's scoring a point, so 2 of us are already at 1. Remember, you only need 3 to win. And now I'm looking forward to David going after that clockatrice. However, he doesn't. I can't believe that David does this. I mean, if it was a betrayal for me to move over that clockatrice, this was insane. So basically what happens here is David says to Thomas, hey, look, buddy, what if I just don't go after that clockatrice? How about you send that back after Brian? And he's like, okay. So, okay, I did not see this coming. So basically what happens is he sends up the Cav to try and shoot at the Crucible Guard model in the zone. Unfortunately, they miss and they repo away. He puts a couple of models in there, and then instead of going after the clockatrice, the Charger and the Defender both shoot into my Warden and like half kill it. So I thought that already I was pretty safe because a clockatrice going into a full Warden probably won't kill it. But now that I'm half dead, yeah, it's going to be pretty easy. So that sucks. Otherwise, he does defend himself. He dropped his upkeep so he could throw an Earthquake into all the things attacking him on the right. Takes a little bit of shots in there too, just to try and kill what he can. But yeah, there's a big betrayal. But talking about big betrayals, things got interesting for the Grimkin too. Alright, so going into Grimkin turn 2, it took a while to get started because Thomas had to make a decision. He looked and he's like, okay, I know we'd made this deal, but this is a game of points, and if I kill your caster, I get a point, and Stryker's sitting there with no feet and no camp, and that would be a super easy assassination. So there was a little bit of silence, a little bit of tension, and he's like, nah, it's okay. So basically that clockatrice then uses Mirage to go further down, and then basically assaults into the zone so it can go and spray and kill that one Crucible Guard model on the left. Otherwise, then, it's pretty simple for it to try and take it, so it just kind of uses its little lick-a-tongue guy, the little frog dude, to go kill the other model that was in the zone. He then comes over with his monkey as something else to be in the zone, and then uses Dreamer to go incorporeal, and then move because he also has movement shenanigans, to move my Warden towards him, and then kill it with his clockatrice. So again, this should not have happened. I should have been at full health, and he should have had to try and deal with the Signar problems at the top. But yeah, whatever. This is what is going to happen now. And I was happy to see that then he gets even more aggressive by charging in there and dehorsing the Signar Cav solo. So that's kind of, good to kind of show that this is serious, and gets inside of that Lancer to cripple the weapon and also the Cortex. So hopefully now, after all of this, David is starting to see that the Grimkin is actually a threat. So as well, I think that he might be seeing some more damage, because I didn't say this, but he actually decided to also shoot into Alice, and you see Alice is big and angry. So yeah, I kind of wish David would have a good time. He brings these wonderfully painted models, and I just want to see him to do well, but he always picks on me. So if he's going to do that, I'm going to enjoy him getting in trouble. Otherwise, after he killed that one Warden, the thing pops out of Phantasm. That's going to come towards me. He also made a little mouse Phantasm. That's up there making some trouble. So yeah, causing some issues over there. Now, otherwise, as we go into my turn 3, and by the way, we're going to be now increasing the kill box, so now it's 14 inches, I see myself having an opportunity to win. So I scored 1 point, Crucible Guard scored 1 point, and then now the Grimkin scored 1 point. You need 3 to win, and if I look at this, I can use my feet to very easily score this center zone, right? I can pop my feet, move the monkey out. I can't quite get the clockatrice out, but we know I have Rampager. I can get it out. Now, there's no way I can get the Crucible Guard flag. Dorian is way too close around it. However, the flag for the Grimkin, that one is open. So I can easily pretty much move everything away just with my feet. And then, even though the clockatrice, the bottom one, would still be too close, I can TK that one. So this is great. I actually looked at this and be like, should I hold back? Will this be a cheap win? But screw it. I'm being picked on. Let's go for it. So I go for it though, and it completely falls apart. This was hilarious. So basically, I have my agitator run to the flag. I then have to move over a wrecker so I can go and destroy that elephant phantasm in my way. Then I'm able to move over a Thexus, pop my feet. Oh, by the way, before that I had a wrecker go up to be an arc node. But anyway, I then go to TK, that one bottom clockatrice away. I boost because I want to make sure I hit. I'm focus 8 going up against a 13. I just need a 5, but I want to play it safe. And I roll a 1-1-2 and miss. So already things are falling apart, but hey, at least I can get the center zone. Let's do a Rampager. So I cast the Rampager, and he uses the Arcana to stop it. I totally forgot this. I totally forgot that he took the Arcana that just cancels a spell, and now I didn't do anything. I'm not going to score anything. Thexus is standing in the front. I'm camping 0. I'm dead. This is awful. So otherwise, to try and defend myself a little bit, I go over with the other agitator. I instigate. I go over with my last remaining wrecker, and I do a lot of damage to the bottom clockatrice. Like, I take it down to just 2 boxes left, but it does stutter away and survive. But yeah. Oh man, this was going to be my glory turn. It was going to be amazing, and now I'm in a lot of trouble. So Dorian decides to still pick on me, and so for the one wrecker in the middle, he decides to shoot it with his Vindicator. I get the damage, and then I walk towards him so that I'm at least not showing my back. He then sprays it with his light so that I have oil on me, so now fire is boosted against me for damage. Then he comes into me with his little other one, sprays me with fire, does a bunch of damage, punches me, does a bunch of damage, leaves me on 1 box, but I'm on fire and on oil. I'm probably going to die. Then he goes up with Locke, pops feet, but he's pretty far back, so I don't think he's actually going to catch that much. He probably should have gone up all the way to the wall, but, Dorian's playing it safe. That's not the bad thing. And then he decides to get some revenge on David and goes in there and kills off 2 of those Storm Lances. So David is really regretting, not feeding next turn. But you know what? I'm not going to feel bad for David because he traitored me, and he's going to get what he deserves. But either way, that's a lie. I feel bad for David, and now I'm hoping David can actually fight back here. And in fact, I'm saying, look, I'm probably going to die unless you help me. Now, one of the ways we could help each other is that if you go and destroy the clockatrice at the top, the one that you should have already destroyed because it's right there. And remember that clockatrice at the bottom is only on 2 boxes. If you can destroy those 2 clockatrices so that Grimkin can't kill Thexus, I can then use wrecker number 2 to go up and kill his Toro, which then would allow him to be safe, right? Obviously, the other pieces would go and try and fight the infantry that's invading him on the right, but he's going to have his feet up. He's going to be pretty safe. That's the way to try and counter these things. So let's see what David does here. Yeah, things don't go well for David. So unfortunately, what happened is that there was some counter charges. So the first thing that happened here is that he moved over, and we kind of all forgot that Alice in angry form has counter charge. So Alice counter charges Ragman and kills it. And we're like, oh, well, that sucks. Then he goes over and charges his last Cav model into Alice. He countercharges then with the Toro and kills the Knight. So this is completely falling apart. David's already kind of tilted and being like, screw this game. Very unfortunate, but now he's just trying to fight for his life. So he is able to eventually kill Alice and do some pretty good damage to the Toro. It does feed over tokens to him from the Locke feat. He put all those onto the suppressor, but yeah. The left side did not go well. On the right, he does his best to try and kill the things that are over there, but that's not going well for him. He pops his feet. He does not have anything in the zone, and he kill boxed himself, so he took 10 damage, but that double counter charge really got him kind of salty, and I can't really blame him. But now we're in a really bad spot because we didn't kill either of these clockatrices, neither of our casters are camping anything, and even though he popped his feet, Stryker already took 10 damage. So it's going to be pretty easy for, I think, Thomas to close this out. So on this side, he doesn't want to be taking a free strike, so his little tree over there pulls away the charger. Once the charger's out of the way, he charges in with the clockatrice. Stryker goes down, and so he goes to 2 control points. And then down here, yeah, Dreamer just moves my wrecker out of the way. The clockatrice charges into my 14-14 no camp Thexus and easily kills it. And so overall, that means 3 points for Thomas and his Grimkin Dreamer list. And so that's going to be a victory for them. All right, so that's the game. You know, part of me is kind of salty as well because I'm like, you know what, David, I gave you that present. You chose not to kill it, and in the end, that clockatrice killed you. You had it coming. But you know what? I can't be salty. This game was a lot of fun because even when you have these betrayals and stuff like that, it is so silly. We were all laughing, right? When all these like, wait a second, you're not going to attack it. Wait a second, you might go back and kill my Stryker. Wait a second, you cancel that spell with like that Arcana. All these like big interactions are just so fun. Everybody had a great time. Okay, David did not have a great time when he got caught by those 2 counter charges, but it happens. It's the way it goes. It was a great time. So hopefully all of you had a great time watching this. If you had any thoughts on the game, Kommandant, anything like that, please let me know. And if nothing else, please look down into the description, look at the roles of Kommandant, and try it yourself because honestly, it is a great time. It's amazing and you'll love it. So there you go. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye.